Okay, so you want to get stronger at jiu-jitsu, but which training split should you actually choose? This is a good question because you're already training a lot and you're training with intensity and you're trying to navigate not getting injured and still getting better, improving your performance, improving your strength, and most of all, improving your skill on the mats. So there are different ways of splitting up the body, and a good place to draw some inspiration from is the world of bodybuilding. Although we don't necessarily want to train like bodybuilders because we have different goals, there's still a huge body of knowledge that we can draw from in order to inform our choices. So bodybuilding practitioners traditionally split up the body in 5 different ways. We're going to break these down. The first one is the full body routine. This is where you train the body in its entirety every time you do a session. So you'll do some legs, you'll do some pushing motion, you'll do some pulling motion, you'll do some abs, and you'll do some back. And this is a great starting point for people that haven't trained a lot before and are starting to learn how to actually do these exercises, because you're not going to be able to load them completely because you're still learning the movement patterns and you're still learning the technique of the different exercises. It might also be great if you can only train a few times a week, because at least then you're getting a full body workout in several times a week. The next one is upper lower body. And this is where on one day you're going to train all your upper body musculature. So you're going to train pushing and you're going to train pulling. Then on the other day you're going to train legs. So lower body like squats, deadlifts, stuff like this. And although there are overlaps, you're going to have a focus on the upper body on one day and a focus on the lower body on the other day. The great thing about this is that you can train your upper body hard one day, and then when you go to jiu-jitsu later that day or the next day, you're still gonna have relatively fresh legs. So although your upper body might be tired, you can still work and you're not completely fatigued in your whole body. Might also be a good way to give your muscles a little bit of extra recovery if you're gonna train them really hard. So say you're doing upper body on Monday and you're gonna do it again on Thursday. Then your upper body is gonna have several days to actually recover from that and get stronger, and then you can push hard again on Thursday. The third one is the push-pull legs. So one day you're gonna focus mainly on pushing musculature like bench presses, overhead presses, stuff like this. On the next day, you're gonna focus on the pulling stuff. So pull-ups, rows, variations of this. And on the third day, you're gonna go hard on your legs. So again, this gives your body more time to recover. So if you're going really hard on the pushing musculature, you're gonna have several days until you're hitting that again. If you love going to the gym, there's also the 4 split, where you're gonna pair back and bicep training on one day, chest and tricep on the next day, legs on the third day, so similar to the one we just talked about. And then you have an extra day where you might be doing shoulders, forearms, and traps, and you can focus more on those muscles, those accessory muscles, on a separate day where you have a full workout dedicated to this stuff. We could also go for a 5-day-a-week training split where we're doing back and shoulders on day 1, chest and arms on day 2, day 3 would be legs, 4 would be upper body strength, and then 5 would be lower body strength. So this way we could do 3 days where it's more focused on bodybuilding, maybe a little bit higher reps, and then on the last 2 days we're focusing more on strength, which means the reps would probably be lower and the weights would be higher. So which one should you choose? It basically comes down to how much you want to train, how much jiu-jitsu you want to do, and what you can afford in terms of recovery, because everybody's different. There's a huge difference between being a 17-year-old where you can just smash yourself into the ground in the evening and then next day you wake up and you're still fresh. Or you might be a 45-year-old dad who has kids that you need to take care of. You have a full-time job. You might have a little bit of extra life stress. So if you go hard on one day, it takes you 2-3 days to recover fully. If your schedule permits you to do 2 sessions a day and you want to do jiu-jitsu every day and you want to train strength every day, then doing a 5-split training routine might not be a bad idea, because you're going to give your body more time to recover each muscle group that you train. And you're going to be relatively fresh going into the jiu-jitsu sessions because you're not doing a ton of heavy compound lifts every time you go to the gym. If you have less time to go to the gym and you can probably only train once a day, but you can get to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, including jiu-jitsu sessions, then doing an upper and lower body split might be a great way to actually get some strength work in. You're not going to be able to do the same amount of volume, so if you want to gain muscle mass, it's probably going to be harder than if you can train more, because volume is an important part of gaining muscle mass. But hey, if you just want to get stronger, going to jiu-jitsu class on Monday, then maybe Tuesday you go for bench presses and pull-ups and accessories for this. You go to jiu-jitsu again on Wednesday. Thursdays you hit your lower body, and maybe you manage to get one other strength session in during the weekend. then you're still gonna hit the gym, you're still gonna get stronger over the long run. It might also be that you prioritize jiu-jitsu quite a lot. Maybe you train 5 times a week, but you can get 3 sessions in and you know how to lift. So going in and doing a push, pull, legs split might actually work really great for you because you get to train the whole body every week. You can go relatively heavy and your nervous system can recover from this. So you can do heavy squats, heavy deadlifts once a week and still recover from it and be able to do jiu-jitsu as well. And maybe if you have more time, you can do a little bit of accessory work later in the week. So maybe the 3 split works great for this. But the main thing that you need to consider is how much time do I have available? How much do I want to do jiu-jitsu? And how much do I also want to get stronger at jiu-jitsu? And then lastly, how much recovery ability do I actually have? And are there things that I can do to improve my recovery as well? Like, am I eating enough? Am I sleeping enough? Am I getting the right supplements to fuel this kind of activity and these goals that I have? And then the most important lifting plan is the plan that you can actually stick to in the long run without driving yourself into the ground and getting injured because you want to get strong in the gym and be a powerlifter or a CrossFitter, and at the same time you also want to do jiu-jitsu at a high level. And this is probably one of the hardest things to tackle because if you're like me, then you want to improve on the mats, but you also want to improve in the gym. And this is probably one of the hardest things to tackle for a lot of people. But one way to think about this is in seasons. So you might be in a season where it's more important for you to get stronger, which means that you might deprioritize jiu-jitsu a little bit in order for you to actually get that extra lifting session in during the week. Or you might be in a season where you want to focus more on jiu-jitsu, you want to get more mat time, but you still want to maintain your gains and your strength and maybe slightly increase it over time. Then you might be able to get away with training only 2 times a week. And then you need to figure out if it's best to do 2 full body sessions or if you can push hard enough to do just 1 upper body and 1 lower body session and still maintain your gains, maintain your strength as you're improving and focusing more on jiu-jitsu. Personally, for me, I found that there have been times in my life where doing 3 full body sessions a week with more of a bodybuilding approach to it, so higher reps, lower weight, has worked really well to let my joints recover from having a harder period of jiu-jitsu previously where I might feel a little bit banged up in my body. So having 2-3 months where I'm doing 3 full body sessions with lower intensity on the weight and higher reps has just been great for my recovery. And then I can go back into going more heavy on the weights and maybe also heavier on jiu-jitsu. At other times, I feel that doing the upper lower body split has worked wonders for me because it allowed me to go heavy in the gym and then not feel that I was completely beat down whenever I wanted to go to jiu-jitsu. So this has worked really well when I've done 2 a days. So I've done jiu-jitsu in the morning and then lifting in the afternoon. And then I felt that I've still been able to recover from that lifting so that it hasn't cut into my jiu-jitsu ability. But as I said in the beginning, there's no one way to cut this cake. The best way is the way that you can stick with and that you can make work in your schedule. I hope all of this gave you an idea of where to start. And if you're looking to get more into lifting, but you haven't really done a structured training program before, then check out the Path of Milo preparatory phase, where we're doing a 3 sessions a week, full body workout that will both increase your strength, will build some muscle mass, and it will also increase the conditioning because of the way that we've structured the program. And most importantly, it will prepare you to do more advanced lifting programs later on, where you might want to incorporate some of these bigger compound lifts, like back squats, heavier deadlifts, bench presses, overhead presses, Olympic weightlifting variations, and so on. I've put a link in the description, and if you use the code Milo50, you'll get 50% discount on a program that's already very affordable. I would love for you to try it and also get your feedback after you've gone through the whole program. Thank you for listening in. Until next time.